You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Active Interview. We're joined here by Nikolai Volkoff. Nikolai, how you doing?
Thank you very much. Very good.
It's good to have you on. Good to have you on. You just, of course, everybody now knows the news that you're going to be inducted into the class of 2005 WWE Hall of Fame. Do you consider this an honor?
Yes, I'm happy with that. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy with it. Because WWE is one of the biggest, wrestling organization in the world, And I'm very proud to be part of it.
Going way back in time, what made you decide you wanted to be a wrestler?
Oh, wrestling was always in my family. My great-grandfather was a world champion. He was a bodyguard for King Prince Joseph of Bulgaria monarchy. And I saw lots of his picture back over the wall. And I never met him. I just saw his picture and people talk about him. They even wrote a book by him and they make him like a national hero back home. And I was always proud of him. And then my father was, wrestler too. And then I decided, to start wrestling too.
Who trained you?
In Europe, I was trained by my father first, because I was very, very young. I was only like 5 years old. Then when I got about 8, my father put me in a club, and I saw wrestling in a club, and I was doing pretty good.
The rumor I hear is that your first match was against Bruno Sammartino. Any truth to this?
No, not the first. No.
How was it like working with Bruno, though?
I was very excited. I even told him, I said, Mr. Sammartino, I was very young then. I was like, my God, that was 19. First time I met Sammartino was 1969. I was just coming to make TV for WWF, that time.
Right.
And I met Bruno in, I believe it was in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, old Philadelphia Arena.
Yep.
And I told him, I said, Mr. Sammartino, I'm glad to meet you because I have your picture in my scrapbook here from Europe. And then he said, what a little bastard.
He said that?
Yeah, he was, kidding.
Oh, okay. Oh. Early on, you were part of the tag team. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right. The Mongols?
Yes, the Mongols. That's why I met Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah. How did you enjoy your tag team with them?
My partner was Guido Mongo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guido Mongo was a very experienced wrestler, and he kind of helped me a little bit, by the business. When we come to New York, we made at that time, we made TV first, TV tape first, and then we go on the road, regular route.
Yeah. It wasn't live TV back then. No.
And then when we come to Philadelphia Arena for TV, was only like 400 people there. That's what they drawed for the rest of the time.
Wow.
When people saw us, next time was sold out.
Wow.
It was like 17,000 people. So that was a big difference, I guess, from wherever they did that. And then my partner told me, yes, we're going to make some money here. And then first match, it was in Madison Square Garden. And the best house they ever have in a garden was a half a house, Bruno and Koloff. And when we come in, as a Mongols, we sold it out.
Wow.
Because of something new, something different people never saw before. I guess I was a big, over 300-pound guy, no fat.
Yeah. Yeah, you were... Absolutely. Your character has always been the Russian, and of course at that time it was the Cold War, and it was Russia against the United States. And did you ever feel that your character went quote unquote too far?
No, because when I met Fred Blassie, I told him, I don't want to be any more a bad guy. I escaped from Russia, but I should support the masters. And he said, Nikolai, if you hate him, is the best way to help the people there when you left, to tell people how beautiful they are, how good they are. And then people start hate you and you make good money. That's what we did. We did a good job.
Do you still watch WWE TV today?
Yes, once in a while I watch it.
What is your opinion, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, of the Muhammad Hassan character?
I didn't see it, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I don't watch the TV that much anymore because they come in Baltimore, they come late, and I'm asleep at that time. That's my bedtime.
He plays the he plays an Arab American basically, so it's kind of a similar gimmick to yours. Anyway, of course you wrestled Hulk Hogan on Saturday Night's Main Event. That's probably the most accessible match of your career because people still today trade it all over the place. How was it like working with Hulk?
To me, Hulk was no wrestler. He was a cartoon artist.
You don't?
And I believe he killed the business.
You believe Hulk Hogan killed the business?
Yes. He came in, I believe he killed the business.
Wow.
You don't see him anymore with WWF, is it?
So I take it you weren't a fan of the things like the cartoon show then?
No. I was from old school. See, in Europe, if you will become professional wrestler at the time, you have to be amateur champion. So I was amateur champion. That's how I became professional wrestler.
So when you think of the 80s boom period, what do you think was made it so popular then that didn't make it popular now? I don't even understand that question. Sorry, I was reading a question from the fans, but I'm a little thrown off by the fact that you think Hogan killed the business, because a lot of people say he made it. I don't know.
How the heck he made it?
I don't know. I'm just saying what they said.
When I was in the car the first time, I sold it out. We have 6 matches in the car.
Wow.
When Hogan became champion, they have to hit 20 matches. And they still could not draw.
Yep.
Except for the big show like WrestleMania, that's a different story.
Yeah, speaking of WrestleMania, you were WrestleMania 3 in front of 93,000 fans. First of all, there's a controversy on the internet if people believe or not that there actually was 93,000 fans there.
Oh yes, it was all that was right. That was true.
Oh, I believe that to be true, but a lot of people say it was actually 78, but I disagree with that completely. But I do believe that it was 93.
Oh yeah, probably more too.
How did you enjoy wrestling in front of such a huge audience?
Well, it's much easier.
Is it?
Yes, the more people, better. You feel better.
Is it like adrenaline or something that gets flowing?
Yes, yeah, easy. See, when you get on the ring, you have a good crowd. Even if you are tired, you get you. As soon as you put your left shoes, go on the ring, you feel great. I did anyway. Every time. Sometimes we have a long trips, not enough sleep. But as soon as I come to the ring, I felt great.
At WrestleMania 6, you had a really short match against the Hart Foundation, and it was actually in Bret Hart's home country. A person coming in from the forums wants to know, why was the match so short, if there's a story behind it or anything?
I think Sheik tried to catch Billy Plane.
That sounds like Sheik. You worked with Sheik for many years. What did how did you get along with the Sheik?
We get along very good. I love Sheik. He's a good friend. Even now, I talk to him once in a while. And he's a great wrestler.
Yeah, we had Marty Jannetty on the show, and he had nothing but hysterical stories to tell about the Iron Sheik for like an hour.
Yeah, I don't go into it.
They turned you face in 1990 when the Cold War had obviously ended, and they put you with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Did you enjoy being a babyface as much as being a heel?
Yeah. Yeah, I did because, I escaped from Russia. I escaped from communist country.
Right.
And when the communism was finished, I didn't have any more reason to play, part. Be a bad guy. Everybody know that was not good. Russia, the Russian people are beautiful people, don't get me wrong. The politics was very, very wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The first feud you had as a good guy that I can recall was against Sergeant Slaughter. How'd you enjoy working with Sarge?
Yeah, I like Sarge. Sarge was a very nice man. I think he was a very good guy. And my first match as a good guy was against Boris Zukov.
Yeah, that was your former tag team partner.
Yes.
Yes. You seemed to pretty much disappear off TV for a little while after the Survivor Series 1990. You did come back for the Royal Rumble, but what was going on that you started to no longer be part of the everyday show?
I was wrestled a little bit of time in Europe and Japan, and I took some time off to be with my family. Because when you wrestle, for WWF, you're on the road every day. And after a while, you get tired.
Oh, I can imagine. Absolutely. In 1992 and 1993, you made appearances for a company called ECW. Is this the same ECW that later became the equivalent of, I guess you would say, hardcore wrestling?
I guess so.
Yeah. What was your opinion of that company?
In my opinion, they was cartoon.
Cartoon?
Yes.
In 1995, you returned as a part of the $1 Million Corporation. For weeks, they pretty much humiliated you with Ted DiBiase, and you never really seemed to get your comeuppance at the end. You never seemed to get your revenge.
Yes, I did. I wrestled DiBiase in Boston, beat the show.
You did? I didn't remember. How did you enjoy that entire gimmick?
I think that was a little bit, crazy, but, they start from wrestling to entertainment, so.
Did you think, was the company different at that point than it was in the 80s?
Yeah. Business started to change. My whole coming on the picture. A little bit, started a little bit.
I hear you're running a training school. Is there any truth to this?
No.
No truth to that at all. Wow. I got a lot of bad questions coming in from the internet then, huh?
Yeah.
Are you still wrestling from time to time?
Yes.
How does it feel to get in the ring these days?
Well, I lost 60 pounds.
Oh?
Actually 70 pounds. I'm now weighing 270 pounds.
Wow.
And I feel good. Except today I have a little bit cold.
Yeah, and I apologize for keeping you so long with your voice.
There we go, wait.
Before we go into word associations, can I ask you a question? Looking back, it's pretty much a goofy question. It's another one coming in from the internet. I'm going to ask you this anyway, though. Looking back at your entire career, what moment defines who you are as a person? What wrestling moment defines, what's your highest moment in the history of in your wrestling career?
Well, I guess lots of times that happened, more than one time. First time is when I was wrestling Louisiana. And somebody stole my Russian Atlanta tape. And it's a little story about that, but anyway. He was supposed to have it. He didn't have it. That's Jake's father. Jake the Snake's father.
Oh, yeah, Grizzly Adams.
Yeah,
Grizzly Smith.
very nice man.
Yes.
He's supposed to bring the tape because I gave mine to the office to make a copy of it. It was a very hard time to find a Russian Shalant, so I had to call my mother to mail me one. It took almost a month to get from there to here. And I was main event in New Orleans, was sold out. I was wrestling again against, I believe, Magnum PA.
Yeah.
Very nice guy, very nice gentleman.
Yeah, we had him on the show. He's a real good guy.
Yeah, how he's doing his health, he's still triple O.
Beg your pardon?
He's still hurt his foot or leg or something.
I think he's all right. I think he owns a cell tower now, a cellular phone tower, so he's doing pretty well. Doing pretty well for himself financially, so.
That's good for him. Good guy.
Yeah.
And when I wrestled him, I told Bill Walsh Grizzly, was a promoter at the time, that if he don't have if they don't play my tape in Russian Atlanta before the match, then you're going to be fined like, I don't know, $200, something like that. And he said, Nikolai, I'm screwed up. I'm going to be fined $200. And I said, why? I don't have your tape. And I know you give your $2 to make a copy of it.
Is that when you started singing your national anthem?
I said, don't worry about it. I have a better idea.
Mm-hmm.
I go sing tonight. So we told the people that I believe Junkyard Dogs stole my tape, and I said, sorry to tell you, but tonight you'll be able to listen to Russian Atlanta because Junkyard Dogs stole my tape. And the people were happy as hell. I mean, they started screaming and cheering, I said, when they stopped, I said, well, however, don't disappoint you. I want you all to not get respect of singing Russian Atlanta.
Oh, wow. And
when I started singing Russian Atlanta, that was the only time I got scared on the ring. Because there's so much heat and the hate. The people still stamp their foot on the chairs. There was, I don't know, about 30,000 people where the building hall was so loud. It was so loud, I think the building was exploded.
Wow. Yeah, and plus you were in the South.
I beat Magnum for the belt that time.
Wow.
and he was actually crying.
Wow. That's pretty impressive that the audience, when I watched the tapes from the 80s and 70s of you when you did this, the crowd just absolutely hated it. I mean, they were all over you about it.
Yeah, because before was no entertainment, it was a wrestling. It was different. But people change, wrestling change.
Oh, hey folks, this is Hacksaw.
We're here now with one of the former OneWrestling.com, I guess you would call him, 5 horsemen, Chris Yandick. Chris, how you doing?
I really do not want to be referred to as a OneWrestling.com columnist anymore. One of the 5 horsemen, could have been 6 horsemen.
Well, you could have been the headless one.
Well, I could have been the headless horseman, but I've also could have been one of the 6 horsemen. If you count Georgiana McCarplis in there too, she did a lot of great things.
Yeah, she deserves a lot of respect. She's stuck by them too.
Yeah, she's going to WrestlingFigs.com right now, very soon, and she's leaving OneWrestling.com. Actually, finally, I think her contract's up. I'm not definitely sure on that, but she's moving on with her life too.
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now that she might be going to WrestlingFigs.com, but I'm going to WrestlingPrunes.com.
Sure, but for the most part, overall, you can just look at the whole situation. Like, she's been through a lot. Her close friendship with Bruno Sammartino is a wonderful thing, and time goes on, as you can see. But as we all know, OneWrestling.com isn't what it once was. PWInsider.com is the #1 wrestling site on the internet today, with all the real news, and they've been helping you out a lot, I know, of lately. But what we all must realize is that time goes on, wrestling goes on, even with the products down, and if my life goes on, there's more to life than professional wrestling, whether you're a fan or not. Good for you. But
Yandick, will you do me a favor?
if you're in the business, it's a very different story than if you're a fan in general.
Yandick?
You can't say anything for the most part if you're just a fan, but if you actually live in the business, then you can say something. And now I will let James talk.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Since you said everything goes on, would you do me one little favor? Would you sing me My Heart Goes On by Celine Dion?
That song is so outplayed.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that, actually.
That song is like so outplayed that so many people have tried to perform that on such horrible reality shows as American Idol, which need to go away because they're too overexposed as it is. And I think that...
Let me ask you this, and this is one more question. I know I'm being a little goofy, but why is it every singer that's on American Idol does this? Why can't they just hold a note? Why do they have to go like it's a warped audio tape?
Because people think that, like, opening your mouth like that shows that you have something special. I don't know. Maybe they're trying out for the next Tarzan role.
Well, the only way they'll make it in this business if they open their mouth.
I have a question.
Yeah, for the most
that's right. Mr. Clancy's also with us. He's been quiet, but he's here.
That's a miracle.
Thanks, Chris. There's another off-topic question. Okay, you can only pick one. Which one do you pick? Doritos Nacho Cheesier, Cool Ranch, or Black Pepper Jack?
I say Cool Ranch.
You probably take the nacho cheese. I love nacho cheese, but Cool Ranch is good every so often, but if you're only going to have nacho cheese like once every 6 months...
What are you talking about? That's the most common brand.
There's regular nacho cheese, there's regular Cool Ranch, and then there's your Pepper Jack one. There's a red...
which I'm eating right now.
Okay, well, good for you.
I wasn't bragging. It was just stating the fact.
Yay! But for the most part, all I can say to you for the most part is I think that as we get back onto the topic, I don't know how many people are listening.
Did we have a topic?
I don't know how many
No
people.
way out.
I don't know how many people are listening to this audio show since we've just gone through 2 interviews that you did with Nikolai Volkoff and you did with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But I hope people are listening to this.
Nikolai sucked.
Because I'm on it. And I'm giving you some wonderful feedback as always, and I'll probably give you some dirt before the hour's over, depending on how long.
Well, hopefully we won't stay an hour. I'd like to cut it. I'd like to actually try to cap this one off at 40 minutes, but who knows if that'll actually happen.
Why don't we actually... Why don't we actually get on topic as far as current events are going, and why don't we give a kind of pay-per-view
preview
rundown with No Way Out. I'll be the moderator. You guys can argue amongst yourselves about the matches. We'll start off with the first, and geez, there's not a lot of matches on this card. The first match, and this is just thrown out of nowhere, and I think it's a waste for Eddie to be here, but it's going to be Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio Jr. versus the Bashams for the World Tag Team titles. James, start us off.
Tag team titles don't mean anything anymore, not in either brand. For a while, they did mean a little bit of something on the SmackDown brand, but they seem to think that the only use for a tag team is to put two mongrel guys together because eventually they want to split them up and feud. And they give them the tag belts just for no apparent reason. So this is kind of what they do. They did that with Billy Kidman and, what the hell, the little guy with the fluffy hair.
Paul London.
There you go, yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
How do you not know who Paul London is?
I don't know. I don't watch Velocity, so I don't know.
No, you should have been saying I don't follow Ring of Honor because that crowd loves you so much. But I agree with your point.
Oh yeah, I'm a big favorite on the Ring of Honor message board.
All right, well, James, predictions.
Yeah. I predict
for that match.
I predict the crowd will fall asleep about halfway through.
Come on, seriously.
Okay.
That actually will happen though.
Okay, but
I say they probably give it to Eddie and Ray, just because they tend to just change the tag belts more than they change their underwear. So it doesn't really matter.
Chris, any thoughts on the match?
Well, the only thing I can think of is the mask match where Rey Mysterio Jr. won the Cruiserweight title from Eddie Guerrero at that great Halloween Havoc pay-per-view back in, I believe it was 97.
Yeah.
It's a shame that these guys haven't feuded in WWE. They're not supposed to be a tag team. The only reason they are a tag team is because Rob Van Dam is injured right now. So there's no way they're going to win the belts. It's definitely going to be a retain, and it'd be meaningless for them to win the titles.
Well, definitely a logical point you bring up, but this is a brand that has not been built on logic. If we all remember when the Guerreros were chasing the greatest tag team ever.
World's greatest tag team. Get it right.
I'm sorry, world's greatest tag team. Chavo got injured and they brought in Tajiri, and everybody's like, oh, they're not going to win. But WWE likes to swerve for no other reason than to throw people off, not because of advanced storylines or create any more interest. So, you know,
it doesn't create interest, absolutely so, and that's what's wrong with the business today, absolutely,
so,
100%.
So that I mean, I agree with your logic, Chris, but let's not put stupidity under the WWE at this point. I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Eddie and Ray just for the hell of it. Next match. This is another one of the tests for the Undertaker. Can he drag a good match out of an abysmal worker? Undertaker versus Luther Reigns. Why don't we start off with Mr. James Walsh?
Is Luther Reigns the big black guy, or is he the big white guy?
He's the big white guy.
Okay.
Have I watched SmackDown in 5 years? I don't think I have.
Now, who's the big black guy? Or at least the medium-sized black guy? Orlando Jordan. Yeah, I get him.
Jordan, who was one of Rocky Johnson's students, who was The Rock's dad at one point.
I'm pretty sure he's still his dad.
No, I'm saying that, yeah, which was his dad at one. Well, they don't get along. You have to understand that.
Do they not?
I could talk about that later and give you some stories about how I used to hang out with Rocky Johnson back in the Florida Championship Wrestling days.
Really?
We'll go into those after you finish the pay-per-views. Go ahead.
Sure. To be honest with you, what was the match? Oh, the Undertaker. The Undertaker's going to win, and Heidenreich's going to come back.
What?
Heidenreich will come back in this match.
It seems like for no other reason other than having Undertaker wrestle a big guy.
Yeah, because they don't think Undertaker can work with a little guy, or they don't want to put a little guy in there.
I think it's just pretty funny, for the most part, that he's supposed to be a special attraction. And I don't mean to be negative about the business, but nobody cares about this pay-per-view. They really don't.
Oh, that's not negative about the business. That just shows how badly booked this pay-per-view is. But, James, can we get a prediction?
I say...
Taker's got to frickin' win. This is, like, unbelievable if he loses.
Well, I'd agree with that, but all I'm going to say is it'll probably be a schmoz finish, and I think Heidenreich comes back.
All right. Thoughts on the match, Chris?
Undertaker wins. If they bury Undertaker, what's the point of even having him still in the company at this point?
I agree. Undertaker wins. I agree. Heidenreich may come back, though. Next match. The winner will get a title shot at WrestleMania as the #1 contender. Kurt Angle versus John Cena. James?
I think you'd have to be an idiot not to see the writing on the wall that it's going to be Cena against JBL.
Which we called, by the way, back in August.
Yeah. We had talked about that several times, and yeah, it's going to be Cena and JBL, and it's going to be Michaels and Kurt Angle, so I predict that you'll probably see Shawn Michaels at the pay-per-view.
I would agree with that, so you obviously think Cena goes over.
Yeah.
All right, Chris?
Cena goes over. Obviously, he needs to be the new world champion. If they don't give it to him now, it's never. Might be already too late, as your buddy Bill Apter already said. I just don't know how longer you can do this whole situation, and for the most part, whatever happens will happen. And I think that all you can really say about it is, you know, if it's going to be John Cena versus Bradshaw, I mean, we already know this. What's the point of this cage match with barbed wire? Just to have a special attraction?
Because they have to have a main event.
Why even have the title on the line if we know that he's not going to lose the title?
Well, actually, WCW did that at Halloween Havoc in '97.
Yeah, I know, when Piper pinned Hogan, which
he didn't pin him.
Well, whatever. I don't.
It made absolutely no sense to have that match.
No,
but they did.
Yeah.
And Piper won it, so what else is new?
The match was horrible. Yeah. The only cool thing about it was at the end, Macho jumps like 80,000 feet onto Piper. I mean, he misses, but it's so cool to see him jump that high.
Yeah, that's when he could still jump.
I mean,
White men can jump.
But that was like 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Let's see. Let's calculate. That was 8 years ago, yeah.
6, 7, 8 years ago, which basically meant he could jump at that time, but he sure can't jump
6,
today.
7, 8. Shamil. Shamazel. Something Incorporated.
All right.
We're gonna make it.
This is. I mean, I think they've got like 5 matches on this card.
Well, they're gonna. Well, that's because they don't have the main attractions there, which will be Charlie Haas against Scotty 2 Hottie, and
Hardcore Holly jobbing out somebody.
And Hardcore Holly's going to beat the tar out of Rene Dupree.
Yeah.
And remember Kenzo Suzuki versus someone.
Yeah.
And Kenzo's it's probably versus like Shannon Moore.
Yeah. So that'll be that's the special attractions that we're all waiting
really
for.
So dying, hoping to hear about. It's like, why not throw a hardcore invitational match into this pay-per-view? I mean,
they could have it in a junkyard.
Yeah.
Where people nearly die and get disemboweled.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously so. But I mean, for the most part, we look at this whole situation and why watch wrestling? Why watch SmackDown? I mean, Raw, okay, but does anyone really care about SmackDown? They're a lame duck show right now. Nobody cares about JBL. Nobody thinks JBL deserves the position he has, obviously.
We do.
I think he does. I think he's worked hard for it.
Wow. He's a crap talent wrestler who was a tag team wrestler who got really lucky.
I thought that a few months ago. I've changed my mind. I mean,
I'm not saying that he hasn't worked hard on the matches as far as what he can do, but he's not an Angle, and he's not a, he's not an Undertaker.
You're right. He's healthy and can work a full schedule.
Well, he's healthy and he can work a full schedule, but I'm saying, I mean, as a general wrestler, I don't see JBL as my world champion.
Here's the problem, though, with Angle, and I don't have a problem with Angle because he can deliver fine SmackDown matches. Angle has yet, and you can bombard me with hate mail for this, but he has yet to deliver an epic main event, a match that you can say, oh, you look back and you say, oh, that match, that was, I was on the edge of my seat.
A lot of
name one match. Name one match.
He's had the matches. Every match with Chris Benoit has always been really good.
No. Good work rate, good match is not the same as an epic match. If anyone can name me one epic match, feel free, because I have yet to find one, and I've pretty much seen every angle.
Probably the one where he beat The Rock for the world title. I think that was pretty good.
Okay, maybe that. But on general, he's not a guy like Shawn Michaels. He's not, and by the way, a guy who can deliver epic matches is not necessarily a great worker, and other way around too, like the Ultimate Warrior. Terrible worker, but when the time called for it, with like Hogan, he can get the job done with that. I mean, if you wanted him to do another a match on a TV show, I mean, the guy would stink up the arena. But he could deliver the.
He was the precursor to Goldberg. He was a good.
I think Goldberg was a better worker than Ford.
He came in, and people didn't want to see him work and get beat up and then come back. People wanted to see him come in, shake the ropes, dun, 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 dun. They wanted to see him shake, throw his hands in the air, 3 clotheslines, big splash, that's it.
Well, my point is this: Kurt's got a fantastic chance at WrestleMania. If he working with Shawn Michaels, possibly one of the best in-ring workers of all time, and he can't get an epic match with him, then I mean his legacy as a main event guy is definitely going to be tarnished in my eyes. Bradshaw, I think, has done a fantastic...
Angle Lesnar, Mania, like 1980.
No, that was terrible.
Are you kidding? That match was probably had more mistakes in it than...
Well, remember,
Angle
was working with like a broken neck.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I give him credit for that, absolutely.
Yeah, but if I go out and I play football and I got a broken leg and I have a horrible game, oh well, guys, I had a broken leg, so it was still a good game, but my leg was broken.
Yeah, but the difference between that and playing in wrestling is that you're against one guy and you're a main attraction on a football field. You can actually hide that.
No, but the thing was the match was. It had so many botches in it, and did anybody care? There was like 8,000 finishes, and it just got ridiculous at a point. It was so overblown. I mean, and not in like the good way, like everything's leading up to this. I mean,
well, here's the thing. I hate when people say
sucked out of that match when Lesnar hits his face on the mat because he was a friggin' idiot and he thought he could do an aerial move.
Well, he's more man than any of us for trying that.
He's also an idiot.
Well, he's more man than any of us for trying that.
Yeah, that was crazy. But listen, I hate when people say something is overbooked, especially if they say it regarding gimmicks leading up to it. For example, let's talk about Halloween Havoc 2000 when Jeff Jarrett was doing the Many Sting gimmick.
What about it?
Everybody on the internet said that match was, quote, overbooked. Now, why was it over?
Used in the proper context, though.
They were saying that having people come to the ring, but all those fake stings and from all his previous looks and colors and all that stuff, they said that was way overblown and way overbooked.
I'm using overblown in the sense that there were 12 F5s in that match.
Yeah, there was, and that was ridiculous. I mean, a finisher has to... Now, I'm going to give... You know what? People bash Missy Hyatt. They call her an idiot. They call her this, that, and the other. She said something... We do like Missy, and I have very much respect for Missy. She said to me one time on the phone, and this remains true in my mind. We were just talking after an interview. I think it was the Christmas edition. She said to me, the only problem I have with working for the Bang promotion is that I'm standing at ringside watching the young guys work, and I see 3 moves done 3 in a row, and I'm thinking all 3 of those moves are finishes.
Well, I agree with you, and I agree with Missy. But here's the thing, and let me ask you something, Chris. If Brock hits 4 F5s on Kurt, can't pin him, next week he goes out and he pins Benoit with 1 F5. I mean, how does that make Benoit look? How does that make the F5 look? I mean, it just, number one, it doesn't make sense. Number two, it's illogical. And number three, it's just, I mean, using like having a guy kick out of a finisher once in a while in like a huge setting is fine.
Kane kicking out of the Undertaker.
Yeah, that was fine because Kane was built up to be like a friggin' behemoth. But I mean, you can't do it all the time, and that's one of the negative aspects of ECW.
Yeah, but you're not the booker. That's what I'm saying. You're not the booker.
I know I'm not the booker. I'm just saying that is not good booking.
Yeah, but you're not.
Well, I don't even think the booker has anything.
A Hollywood writer who doesn't know anything about wrestling. That's what I'm trying to say to you. They don't know anything about wrestling. That's the people they hire. They don't know anything about wrestling. They hire people who are from like, who wrote there was one guy who I forget what his name is. We all know who he is, but he wrote like one show for Friends, and he ended up as part of the WWE crew. I forget what his name is, but I know it. But I know by the end of this interview, I'll probably think of it. But I know of all of them.
If only we were back in the days of Chris Kresge. By the way, I say that with sarcasm.
Sure.
That guy's got to be the most overrated writer in history.
He was the tag team writer. I mean, that's what he did. He put everybody in tag matches.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I don't know.
I mean, look at WrestleMania 2000. I think there was one singles match.
Singles match except for Terry and Cat on that card.
And even that had to have a special referee.
I'm sorry, I don't see anyone who can think that the Kresge booked WWE was better than the Russo booked WWE. I mean, the ratings will attest to it, and don't say, oh, blah 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 blah. That the ratings were still high under Kresge. That was just the fallout from Russo. Just like in the NFL, when a new coach will inherit the old coach's team, the first year that system will stay in place, and you'll see the results in the previous year.
I love Ted Cheese, honestly. So.
But, I mean, the thing is, bottom line is Russo had the highest rated Raw of all time. Russo had the highest rated match of all time on cable TV. You know, I mean, numbers speak for themselves. You can't argue with numbers.
What was the highest rated match of all time?
Austin versus Undertaker.
Oh, wow. Because I remember they were setting...
That's the one when Austin won the title back.
They were setting all new records all the time on those Monday night shows. I remember Hogan, Savage...
They had an 8.0 for the main event that was, which was actually pretty good. It was Austin, Rock, and Vince versus Undertaker, Triple H, and Shane.
Well, that's when the business was absolutely booming.
On fire, yeah. But let's get back on task here. Championship, first ever in WWE history.
Very similar.
Steel cage match. JBL.
We're gonna fill our shoes. Woo!
Versus Big Show.
The reason that I said that is because they had this match with Hogan and Flair on Censor 99, and it was a first blood match. And they put barbed wire at the top, as Flair would say. And they were going to fill their shoes, as Flair put it, which I still have yet to figure out what the hell that means. But
okay, well,
back to the point. It was a first blood match, and Flair was bleeding all over the place, and he won by a pinfall.
Well, this is not WCW unorganized going along.
Okay.
So, you know, I think Vince will have a finish for those guys going out there, and we all know what the finish is already going to be. We know JBL is retaining the title some way, somehow. I don't even think the belt should be on the line this match.
I think JBL should go over cleanly.
I think it should
so he's prepped for Cena.
I think it should just be some hardcore, bloody match where, you know, everything
yeah,
else.
I mean, yeah,
well,
I agree.
With those two guys, I can't see them delivering a Matt Classic. It's going to be brutal. They're going to beat the crap out of each other.
Here's how I would book it. The fans the fans are going in with massive expectations. Tell me if you guys agree with this. The fans are going in with lowered expectations. They know what the writing on the wall is. They know it's going to be JBL and Cena's going to win the title. So why not give these guys an actual...
Not all fans are smarks.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Not all fans are smart.
He said not all fans are smart.
Oh yeah, I agree. Why? Well, for the most part, though, there's not too many people excited about this match. So why not give them just an actual, like you said, just a total brutal match? Like have some really sick stuff. Like have Big Show grinding the wire across JBL's like forehead. Have him just throw him up against the wall and just have some really brutal stuff. So at least it'll be.
And while he's at it, why doesn't he go get a gun and?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Anyway, just have something that when they're done, they'll be like, well, you know, that wasn't a really great book card, but man, that was kind of a sick main event, you know?
Well, that's the thing that has to happen when you have poorly booked cards. The guys have to step it up a notch so you can mask the fact.
No, it's the guys on the top have to step it up for the guys on the bottom because they're the ones who are carrying a show that's not that good anyways at the beginning.
Right. And that's the problem with SmackDown. I just don't think it's very, very well booked at this point. They say that it's the same booking team on both shows now, but I tend to doubt that.
It's not. It's Dave Lagana or whatever on SmackDown and Steph on Raw.
It's just like when you take a pair of poker cards out, and I can't believe I'm using the saying, and you get a 2 and a 3.
When you take a pair of poker cards,
an ace and a 6 than a 2 and a 3, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I don't. But
yeah, well, if you have a 2 and a 3,
I challenge you to a poker duel.
You better hope a 4, 5, 6 come out to get a straight on a hold'em game,
and then we can go to the pub.
I don't know how to play hold'em.
I know that's like the most popular one of these days. I have to admit something. I'm gonna tell you just in the general factor of the matter, in general about things. How do I say this? Online poker is becoming so popular with teenage kids these days. It's almost going back to the cold days of professional wrestling when we had the boom period, and I'm not joking how popular it's becoming. It's becoming the next big...
No, I agree with you.
It's becoming the next big, huge, not fad, but...
I mean, you see all these world poker things on TV. You see all these...
I mean, it's just like... It's becoming like what wrestling was in the late 90s.
Yeah, you walk around... I mean, I wouldn't go that far since it's like apples and oranges, but I walk around, I see people in the lounges all the time in my dorm playing poker.
Yeah.
And I started it all.
Yeah.
I am to thank for it all. Next thing you know, we'll all be hanging out with 50-year-old men in the pub.
All right. So let's recap the interviews a little bit. I really enjoyed Hacksaw.
I really didn't enjoy Nikolai.
All right, what do you think is...
Do I really care? Well, I haven't heard them yet, so how would I know?
Please don't knock our show while you're on it.
Hacksaw Challenge is Austin, let's just say that.
Let me just put it to you this way.
Your show sucks.
Other radio shows suck, but not this one. I could name a list, but I'm not going to go shooting off on people because they'll think you guys said it then, because most of them aren't smart enough to realize who's saying what. For the most part, what we can say is let's just get off this whole WWE topic and we'll just shoot the breeze for the next, 20 minutes.
Or as I like to call it, we.
Yes. And for the most part, I guess, bring up a topic and we'll talk about it. I don't care, whatever you want to talk about.
By the way, Chris Yandick is a very... we want to thank Chris for all his help. He's been a fantastic asset to the show, and he's definitely a fantastic affiliate of ours.
Yeah,
yes.
I've been in the background helping these guys pretty much with all the ideas for interviews for the most part, and the two that you were given on this show was pretty much thanks to me, but they did arrange the interviews themselves, which I had nothing to do with whatsoever.
We're big boys.
So the views and expressions and
we wipe our own ass.
These interviews were not responsible because...
Correct. Mr. Yandick is our quote-unquote booker, I guess you can say.
Not really, though, because I'm more the storyline guy, because I basically give you the assistance, and for the most part, you go with it. But, overall, I'm out of the business. Everybody knows that already. I think I don't have to say this enough. I'm sick of people pondering on whether I am or not. I
ponder a lot.
Pondering is good if you're an everyday life person and you don't know who
I
ponder,
who, who.
We don't have to sing here, thank you.
Who wrote
no
the book of
love? Then I'll have to get into a singing and no one's going to want to hear that, okay?
Well, I've already asked you to start singing that Celine Dion song.
For the most part, it's not like we're sitting around a couch and we all have a cowboy hat like Vince McMahon, Kurt Angle, and Austin, which is like the most classic comedy I ever saw in my life.
When was this?
that about every comedy bit.
That was so funny, though. Those were hilarious. Those were like the best.
I did like when he kept hugging McMahon. That was pretty funny.
Who kept hugging him?
Austin.
Why?
He just liked hugging McMahon.
It was pretty funny, though. That was really funny, though, when they got each other the cowboy hats. That was really funny stuff.
Yeah.
And I also loved when Goldust was a crocodile hunter, and when he was Ben Franklin. That was so funny, too. Those are the days that I miss.
Well, Austin might have fallen in love with Vince because he hit him so often that he thought he was a woman.
Yeah, that was pretty well, if you ask me, but a good joke. But for the most part, I'm out of the business. Everybody knows that. Kind of passed my legacy to these guys, and everybody knows that. And we'll see what happens as far as my future goes.
King Kong Sanalsi.
You know to catch me at www.thesportsinterview.com, and James will have a big link for me on the front page tomorrow morning.
Yes, he will, actually.
Thesportsinterview.com?
Yeah,
check him out. Chris interviews actually some really big names, and if you're a sports fan like I am, you really ought to check it out. And speaking of stuff that we've got going on, I mean, we're expanding massively. Actually, the radio deal. Can I say it, James?
We're set. We're going to start.
We are confirmed. We are going to be on live radio. It is official. We got a massive number of announcements here. I'll start off. Obviously, RVD was pushed back to this Saturday. We got him. He's confirmed. So we're going to have RVD. Send in your questions on the new forums. We got another thing, new forums up. So log on to those.
I like this design a lot better.
I can't imagine how long the recap for this thing is going to be.
It's not going to be much longer. We're going to try to.
Yeah, we're just covering some basic information here.
No, I mean, for when you put the press release out for this thing, I can imagine how long the recap is going to be for this thing.
2 interviews.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to do a recap to an interview when a guy just says, "I don't like Hulk Hogan. He killed the business."
Okay, so back on task here. RVD, obviously, this...
I mean, I respect Nikolai for coming on, and I appreciate it, but I just didn't think that was the best interview that I've ever done. Yeah.
All right, let me just get these news items out of the way, guys. So we got RVD on Saturday. We got the new forums up. Be sure to register. We really need you guys on there. We need you to hear what you need.
And I set it up so everybody knows that I set it up that you actually do have to register to post.
Yes, you must register. Please register. Trust me, it will benefit you in the long run. Another big news.
And it's free.
It is free. It takes 8 seconds at the most. I mean, just do it. We're trying to get a lot of posters up there.
Okay, I got an idea. I'm going to pull a contest out of my head right here now.
That might hurt.
I've got some extra copies of Tatum Brown, Mick Foley's book from like last year. If there's actually people who email me and say they listened to the after show just so we know how many people are listening, if you email me or James or Eric and they forward it to me, I'll send somebody out a copy of Tatum Brown just to see who's listening to this freaking after show.
Good.
And if you go to my website, too, I'll actually give you some extra points to get to that book in the first place. But I'll email you out a free copy of Tatum Brown, which was Mick Foley's autobiography from last year. I've got about 2 or 3 copies left.
Autobiography?
Well, it was, okay.
It's a fiction book.
It's a fiction book. It's freaking 12:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Hello. Have you ever corrected your mother and got slapped in the face, son?
No.
You have.
No, my parents don't hit me.
Maybe they should have.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm kidding. Okay, and the other announcement is...
Abusive parents.
Okay, back to the news.
Okay, yeah, let me get these items out of the way here.
Bites,
All
spits.
right, another big thing. Speaking of contests, obviously we're going to have the Death of WCW contest up very soon. Another huge contest. Adam Ryland has a new game out. It is called Wrestling Spirit Rookie to Legend. If you don't know about these games, then you obviously haven't been big in the wrestling sim market. I have been playing these since '99. They are incredible. He's been releasing promoter sims. Now he's got a career sim. I played the demo. It's absolutely phenomenal. We're gonna have a review up once I get a copy of the review. And
He's played the demo.
Mr. Ryland is gonna be kind enough to give us a copy to give to you. We're gonna have a contest up, probably a stump the host type thing, and we'll get that out to you.
I could probably easily stump like James.
I don't think so.
No, you could.
I was thinking of some questions yesterday, actually.
Fire one off, buddy.
I was trying to think of the one that I was.
Bring it on.
Where did Hacksaw Jim Duggan play college football?
He said in the interview, it was like, Jesus, it was some hick place.
See,
Better not say that. I could throw off.
I don't care. Anyway, Adam Ryland.
Look what you just did. You just offended the whole southern population.
Hey, I'm a Republican. They know I'm with them.
But I'm not.
Yes.
Anyway.
You're not either.
Right.
It would be
Okay.
Southern Methodist University.
Yeah.
I just stumped you.
SMU. Yeah, but that's really not a good question. Ask me another one.
No, stop it. Okay.
No. One more. Come on.
Where did Steve Monko McMichael play college football?
Chicago University. The University of Tijuana.
The University of Texas. Wrong again.
Mexico State.
The University of Texas. I just stumped you again.
Well, I don't know anything about... You know what? I'm not Jim Ross. I don't know where the guys played college football.
A great defensive lineman from the University of Tijuana.
Right.
University of Tijuana.
Okay, back to this. So we're
And
gonna.
wasn't it also Mexico State?
New Mexico State is...
You guys need to shut up for like 2 seconds.
We're talking about like Mountain West Conference football.
Okay, hold on. Let me
like
just get
that
this
never
stuff out of the way.
happened. Like that
Adam
never
Ryland's
happened.
giving us a copy, so we're going to have a review up for you. We're going to have a free copy to give away. So check out the updates on the site. James will be updating you as we get it. Also, big news, we actually have a band we're going to have in the opening in our brand new live kickoff kick-ass show.
Which will also be... Yeah, that's what we're going to call it, too. We're going to call it the Big Ass Kick-Ass Show. No, we're not. Just kidding. It's going to be Tuesday at 7 Mountain Standard Time. That would be 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I'll have a link up so you guys can listen to the live stream. So you don't feel left out if you're not in the Mesa, Phoenix, Tempe area, which I doubt many of you are. But if you're listening from there, that's tremendous. But you can catch us on 1260 AM. But if you're anywhere else, listen on the internet at theblaze1260.com. I'll have a direct link to listen live.
So that's going to be fantastic. So...
Well, you better tell them what kind of players you can listen to the thing with, because
It's real player.
Yeah, okay, well then you better let them know.
Well, if they're listening to this, they already have enough equipment.
Yeah, this is where you find out all the news.
Right.
And
Anyway, we're going to have the band is 68 Guns. They are basically like a hair metal cover band. They're pretty cool though. They opened for LA Guns last year because Beautiful Creatures backed out of the show, believe it or not. So they came in and filled in.
I guess Guns N' Roses canceled, right?
Beautiful Creatures.
So funny.
Beautiful Creatures canceled. LA Guns are... Axl Rose, who's the lead singer of Guns N' Roses, actually used to be a member of LA Guns, but he's not now. But anyway, they walked out.
I'm not Dave and Buck Woodward talking about Bruce Springsteen and Sammy Hagar and all these rock people that I've never heard of. The only one I've ever heard of that they ever talk about is like Bruce Springsteen, obviously, which is like Dave Scher's biggest one ever. Shout out to Jave if he's actually listening to this. But for the most part, we'll talk about PW Insider in a few, but go ahead.
Sure.
Anyway, they're going to come in and they're going to do an acoustic show for us, hopefully so, and we will have that on the live edition, hopefully. If not the first episode, then at least in the first couple episodes. We'll have them on.
Fantastic.
And they're going to perform, I think I'm going to ask them if they could perform a song that I love by the band Dokken. It's called Alone Again, and we will play that at the end of this interview since it's my turn.
Mirror, mirror, tell me more.
An
Remember that one?
Discussion topic.
This is Mirror, Mirror, yeah, but that's actually Don Dokken's solo material.
I know. I like that song, though.
That's really cool.
Dream Warriors is their best, though. That or Breaking the Chains.
Breaking the chains
around you. Nobody else can find you. Take a good look around you.
Now you're breaking the chains.
Okay. So that's what.
So Hacksaw had us both do a Ho and USA chant at the same time, and now we both sang "Breaking the Chains" at the same time. I think we're starting to see a little bit too much of each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we got RVD coming up on Saturday. We got the live show. We got 68 Guns playing for us. We got Adam Ryland's game coming out. We're going to have the Death of WCW books. We got so much crap going down, and crap in a good way. For you guys to win, for you guys to listen to the new forums, be active in the forums. The more you're active, trust me, RSBH is going to, I mean, trust me, he's like got first consideration for everything since he's such an active poster.
Yeah, we might actually just send him some free stuff just for being so active,
yeah,
right?
because he sends in massive amounts of questions. The guy is an active member.
On the old forums, he sent in absolutely incredible questions for both Hacksaw and Nikolai, and we used a lot of those questions. So
I mean, we'll put you, if you just post a lot, we're going to put you in for consideration for a lot of this stuff anyway. So most active posters get this stuff. And it's
get free stuff, right.
And all you have to do is like talk about wrestling, which we all like doing anyway. So.
And it's not just amount of posts, it's also quality of posts.
Yannick, are you going to join?
Not like I'm actually going to post ever unless someone's got...
Oh, well, thanks, Yannick. That's fantastic.
It's just I don't have time, guys.
Yes,
I barely have... Okay.
Yes, you do.
Okay, we're going to go over this whole thing.
Yannick's like, I'm going to cover the NHL.
Yeah, no hockey league anymore.
No hockey league, NHL.
I came up with that one about like 5 nights ago, and James was laughing then, and he still is. But for the most part,
Murder.
I have school, and then I have 2 days off in between, and then I have to talk to different teams about different stories, and I have to do public relations for other things. Then I got to work with Hockey Hawkins on his different movie roles and his different.
Hey, can you tell Jason Giambi I said he's a hypocrite?
Sure, why not? And the different projects that are going on for the most part. So I'm working on different movie projects. I'm trying to put a book together with James. That's kind of under the wall. We're not going to really talk about that right now. But I'm just doing so many other things, and I'm trying to do some of his work to help him with his part of the book, too. So on top of that, I just do not have time right now.
But those of you out there without any lives, please join the forums. No, believe me, we will be part of the forums. We will speak with you. We'll be happy to talk about anything you guys want to talk about.
If you want to create an Ask Christianic question, if you want to create an Ask Christianic thread, then I'll answer those questions or whatever.
Do you think anybody would ask?
Or if anyone has any questions related to...
Hey, Chris, how come you're such a piece of crap?
I think that was Triple H.
I didn't ask it. Somebody else did.
That was Triple H.
I know.
Triple H asked it.
Who I interviewed back in December.
Yes, Triple H. Yeah, by the way, you can check out, what is the website? Is it New Era of Wrestling?
Yes.
NewEraOfWrestling.com.
www.neweraofwrestling. If you want to check out.
You can put a link on the front page for.
Okay, yeah, we will. We'll do the sports interview and the.
But if anybody actually listens to this, though, I will send them a copy of Tina Brown. As long as you email me, Eric, or James.
You said you had some dirt about Rocky Johnson and The Rock not getting along. I'd like to hear that story.
Well, we're gonna finish. This is gonna be the interview then, and we're gonna probably end on this note.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, back in the I want to say 1998, Rocky Johnson was working for Florida Championship Wrestling. And him and his father have not been close in years. His real father has lived in warehouses, and with his mother, actually, which would be The Rock's grandmother then, for the most part. And he's always been, like, back and forth. He was one of the ones that wouldn't sign a contract to work for Wrestle Reunion. I mean, this guy really is just a total mess. And they really just don't talk anymore. The fact of the matter is when Rock grew up, I don't think that Rocky Johnson ever expected. Or the fact is that Rocky Johnson really never cared about his son until he made it big for the most part. And all I can say about that is that it's not shocking, it's not surprising, and it's kind of just the way the wrestling business is. Bruno Sammartino and David Sammartino are the same way. Bruno being the father and David being the son. They barely ever speak and talk anymore. And they're the same way. And I spent a lot of time around Rocky Johnson when I was 14 or 15 years old in the Florida Championship Wrestling independent shows. And he was a manager. And he worked a summer tour. But I'm saying he was just doing it for the money, obviously. But, you know, there was also some accusations in 2000 that he sexually molested a kid, which, you know, he's kind of a weird creep. So I don't know if I'm saying it's true or not. But him and The Rock are not close. They haven't been in years. And the only time I think the notion is that Rocky Johnson didn't care about his son until he really made it big, because I don't think he expected him to make it big, honestly. And I think that's really what the whole story is, as far as that whole matter goes. And you know, he was very quiet, and he seemed like a nice guy, but he just didn't seem he wanted to be at this independent wrestling program or show, which always brought in a few good stars and had Barry Horowitz and Lenny Lane there every so often, and Duke the Dumpster Drossy was the world champion. So there you go.
Did you go to Wrestling Reunion or Wrestle Reunion?
I did not go to Wrestle Reunion. I know a friend who went to Wrestle Reunion who told me a billion stories about Wrestle
Did he like it?
I think it's she.
It was a woman, and
is she hot?
She's in her 40s and she's married.
Answer the question.
This reminds me of the Three's Company episode where they're trying to figure out what the magazine was, and it ended up being the magazine of a patient of Terry, who was the nurse, and it was an 83-year-old woman's sex life in a magazine, and Larry asked, what does she look like?
Sure. But, so anyhow, she's been a long time. She used to spend times at the Orlando Auditorium and in the Championship Wrestling from Florida days. She's a long-time fan, and she spent her life with all these guys. So she's a historian, and she was a journalist at one point. Not in wrestling, but she's been around the industry, and she works with the Funky Conservatory with Missy, actually, and is a close friend of Missy's. So
who we might have on next recap.
Well,
yeah, we might have Missy on with Rob Van Dam.
Well, what else is new? But for the most part, I think that...
Three's Company 2.
So yeah, that's your stories, but, you know, when you look back at the whole wrestling business right now as a closing cause, you know, if you like the business, that's fine and dandy, but what you've got to realize is that the business is in a downward cycle right now. People say, oh, it can get better and better, but it's only going to get better, in my opinion, is as Ted Turner starts up something in 2006 when he gets control of Time Warner again. Vince McMahon just cannot relate to a 15-year-old kid anymore. He's 58.
Which, of course, is who we're marketing to, 15-year-old kids.
Who's 58 years old. And
well, to be honest with you, there are a lot of 15-year-old kids that watch wrestling.
And their marketed demographic right now, the most popular, is 19 to 34, actually. And for the most part, it's got to be about the kids. I mean, why do you make the wrestling figures on top of that?
Right.
And I really...
This is what I always said. When they were doing the adult stuff, they said, oh, we're not marketing to kids. Oh, really? Why do you have youth-size T-shirts for midgets?
Or why do you have action figure commercials in the middle of your show then?
Right.
And why do you sell ponies at events?
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not. But
come and knock on our door.
But maybe for the most part, it's just one of those things
We've
where
been waiting for you.
You know, you can look at when they came out on Saturday Night Main Event, Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon came out on horses that one time.
Yeah, and of course they made the joke that Jesse stepped in horse doo-doo.
Yeah.
Just to change the subject really quick, James, you remember the one episode of Family Guy when Meg's feeling bad, and Peter says, well, Meg, I have a little present for you.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're going to say.
He opens the closet door, and there's a skeleton of a horse, and he's like, oh, yeah, ponies need food.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And so do cats, and so do dogs. But the fact of the matter is that...
Unless you're Chinese or Japanese, in which case you eat them.
Absolutely, 100%, and so do cats and dogs.
Not to mention people. Am I hearing a cat purring?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. There you go. But
was that your cat?
Yeah, well, that's one of my 5. I've got 5 cats and 2 dogs on top of that. But for the most part...
Do the cats like the dogs?
Well, there's a 65-pound Rottweiler that just likes to harass them but doesn't really fight them.
Oh, do they? You know, it'd be cool if you had one of the cats ride on it.
Well, one of the times, it's a she dog, by the way, and one of the times they all get she dog. One of the times, they actually did all gang up on her, and they did get her. Like, all 5 of them ganged up on her. It was really funny.
Did they make Chinese food out of her?
No. But
no egg foo young?
But we always have like some sort of racial, Asian, or ethnic thing in this show. I mean, it's really
Ronry, I'm sure Ronry.
And she's a cute cat. She's timid, afraid.
Well, that's nice that you're a cat lover. I appreciate that. But for the most
that's illegal.
But for the most part, before I come on, probably the next 3 months or whenever I come back on this Epicenter program, whatever you want to, Epicenter, wherever you want to call it. For the most part, we look at PWInsider.com. They're doing a good job today, but it's just that you have the hardcore fans who are going to buy this stuff. I interviewed Triple H and Heyman and World Wrestling Entertainment. The fact is that they don't know who to market to anymore, and you're going to see Triple H and Stephanie turn over the company one day, and Shane's the one that really should run it, but he's really just worried about his finances, I think, and really doesn't want to get involved with the politics of the business, and I guess you can't really blame him. So, as Mick Foley said at Wrestle Reunion, I guess, with the question-and-answer session, what happens when Vince McMahon retires? 3 more title reigns for Triple H, most likely. And that's the honest truth.
I don't think McMahon's going to retire for a while.
So,
I don't think McMahon will stop unless he's physically unable to continue.
Or he's dead.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, and that's fine. The guy deserves a little bit more respect than he gets on the internet. I'm the first to mock Vince. Everybody knows it. And the bottom line, though, is...
This isn't about Vince, but what I'm trying to say to you is that how do we know that Triple H isn't going to be wrestling to the ages of Ric Flair? You know what I mean? That's not...
God, I hope not.
I hope not, too.
That's what I'm trying to say to you for the most part. We don't know that.
The 79-time world...
It'll be like, some guy will be world champion, and Triple H will be his lackey, and then he'll be like, he's the greatest, champ. He's the greatest of all.
And everybody on the internet will still say that lackey is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Even after he's made an ass of himself for the past 3 years on TV, being
like, hey, I don't understand how Triple H can carry this guy's bags. I mean, this is the guy that was the 17-time world champion. I mean, come on.
He's also 130.
How can you say that about Vincent Richard Helmsley?
I think if you clothesline Ric Flair too hard, he might turn to dust.
Ric Flair looks so terrible.
Some people need money. That's all I can say.
I think if you see on the Braveheart commercial, man, Flair looks so bad. I mean, he really looks like he might be a peasant.
I made a comment in 1998 when he came back. My grandfather was 90 years old in 1998. And I'm telling you the truth, they both wore suits all the time. Flair came back on Nitro and he cut that promo on Bischoff, where he had to swear because apparently he thinks that gets a fan reaction. And I remember I made the comment in an article I wrote saying, "What was my grandfather doing on Nitro?" And Flair looks twice as old now than he did then. He looks absolutely horrible.
His face is bad.
As the time goes on, the time goes on. But do you actually think that Ric Flair's actually sitting in the gym? At his age,
obviously not.
He's not Luthez, for crying out loud. That's what you have to remember. He's not Luthez who worked
Bruno
out.
still is in good shape.
He's not Bruno either. That's a different generation, totally different generation of physicality.
I bet Bruno could come back and work a better match right now than Flair could.
Bruno was like freaking Hulk Hogan in the 60s. No offense when I say that, but he was.
No offense taken. Bruno was a superstar. Bruno was the first guy to really break through. People seem to forget about that, though.
I mean, I remember. Let me just tell a quick Bruno story. After I did the interview with Bruno, I was at my aunt's house, and she's like...
That's a really good interview, though, by the way.
And it was. You should check it out. It's available in the archives. And she said, "Well, what are you doing these days?" And I said, "I'm doing this website." So I showed her, and she looks, and she said, "Bruno Sammartino. I remember we used to all gather around the TV in 1968, and everybody, your uncle and everybody used to come and watch Bruno Sammartino wrestle." I mean, that goes far back. That's as far back.
I understand what you're saying, but, I just don't think that... I don't put him in the place that I will put Luthez or I will put Classy Freddie Blassie. I'll put Flair ahead of Blassie because Fez was the greatest wrestler ever.
Oh,
without a shadow of a doubt, he was the greatest.
The bottom line is this: say what you will, Bruno outdrew Thez 10-1. No disrespect to Thez, but Bruno outdrew.
Thez went everywhere to every other country. You cannot definitely.
The number, no,
he
you
was a
check the numbers. Bruno sold much more than Thez ever did. Bruno was in New York.
And what people need to realize is New York was the #1 territory because that was the center of every magazine that came out. That's why New York was #1, because if you worked in New York, you were guaranteed to be in all the magazines that went across the world.
And bottom line is this. Bruno could sell out the Garden 5 days a week. I don't know anybody who could really do that.
Right.
Well, basically,
I mean, that's drawing power.
But see, the thing about what you have to understand about those times is that there was nothing else to do back then.
Oh.
There was no.
Oh, come on!
There was
there was.
There was no television. You had to go out to do things. That's why.
Yes, there was. There was television in the '60s.
Television in the '60s. Okay. There were 3 channels of television in the '60s.
That's a fair
There
point.
were the networks. There was about 6 or 7.
Well, the fact of the matter is that there was less to do then, and we all know that. It's true. And people went out and did things then. It's not like, okay, let me say it to you. Okay. Back in the '60s, people aren't conspired by television the way they are today.
Conspired? You mean inspired?
Inspired by television the way they are today. If you look at the past, in the 30s and the 40s and the 20s or whatever like that, people did things and they went out and did things for entertainment. TV came around, oh, TV, it's just another thing. They still went out and did things at those times. That's why wrestling did so well then, because people still went out and did things. It's not like that today. You can sit home and watch.
Well, wrestling did well in the 20s, but it didn't do well in the 30s.
Well, whatever. But you can say what you want.
Well, it didn't do well in the 30s because nobody had the money.
Yeah.
Ed the Strangler Lewis, that's all I will say. But for the most part, when you look at the whole situation of the matter is that, I don't care what you're saying about outdrawing or not, because I'm not looking at statistics of who drew the most money or who this. I'm saying as far as an in-ring work, as far as a person in a profession, and how he handled himself, Fez was the best of all time.
But you gotta remember, and people need to stop kidding themselves about this. Yes, it is very important to be a good in-ring wrestler. I will not lie, and I will not say it's unimportant. But you gotta look at it like this. You need to have an invested interest. Bruno got people invested in the matches. He got them emotionally connected to the matches, and he brought people to the arenas. Wrestling is a business, and Bruno was a good businessman because he could bring people to see the card. I mean, if you're wrestling the greatest match, but you can't bring people to watch
Let me put it this way. If you're the WWF champion and you're at WrestleMania 3 defending your title in front of 93,000 people, and then you have Ric Flair, the NWA champion, defending at a carnival, getting dressed in an outhouse and walking through manure to get to the ring, who's really the greatest worker? That's all I have to say.
I mean, the thing is, I'm not going to go out there and say, any Joe Schmo can be the world champion, or a guy who can't work and is just some steroid freak can be the world champion, because that's not true. You need to be a good worker, and I have respect for good workers. But people underestimate drawing power. They underestimate charisma. They underestimate the X factor.
But I don't care about any of those things. But I'm saying as a legitimate wrestler, that's all I was saying. As a legitimate...
Yannick, it's still fake, though. It is fake. If you want to say the best wrestler...
Please don't argue with our friend.
As a legitimate wrestler, Fez could have broke your leg in the ring, and they were supposed to have a match that never happened, San Martino and Fez, but they could never either of them could never agree to a wage.
I mean, yeah, he could break my leg, but so could Frank Shamrock. Does that make Frank Shamrock the best professional wrestler of all time? No. I mean,
I'm talking about a time, though.
Still fake, Yandy.
I'm talking about in a time where you had to protect yourself because everybody was out to get everybody. And you're not.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
And you're telling me that those times in the 40s and the 50s.
Oh, they matter. They absolutely matter. That's the problem I have when anybody says, "Oh, the greatest."
You're telling me that anybody would go out to knock anybody out. Read Hogan's book about how Blassie tells him to knock out that Japanese guy like in 2 minutes or whoever it was, and he wasn't supposed to. I mean, how is that not the same way?
Well, I'll agree with you with Blassie being a draw. Blassie was a draw, and he was on quite a few. He broke into the mainstream. But hey, I'll agree with you. Fez protected the business very well. But you got
unfortunately, yeah. And this is what I want to say. I just want to jump in. Let me chime in here. The thing about you guys are arguing about is really just a matter of opinion, because there's no way of knowing what would have happened had Fez been in his prime in the Hogan era, and there's no way of knowing what would have happened had Flair been in the WWF. Though actually, that's incorrect because he actually did, and he failed miserably, and he was fired after a year contract. But nobody wants to admit that.
Failed horrible in the AWA.
What'd you say?
San Martino failed horribly in the AWA.
No. Flair failed horribly in the WWF.
you know, I have to look at this from a career standpoint. I'm not 30 years old. I'm not Dave Scherer, who's got a wife and has a family and has his life set the way it is.
Don't be negative, please. Right. Well, guys.
No, you gotta let me finish. If you don't let me finish, we cut our business relationship. You gotta let me finish. You don't just break off somebody in the middle of a promo. You're not Chris Jericho interrupting The Rock here, okay? The fact
I had a dream Venus flytraps tried to eat me.
Cool, but the fact of the matter is what you have to realize is that from my career standpoint, I'm still 19 years old. I'm still a college student. I'm looking at my media future. So, you know, wrestling was a stepstone, and that's it. And for the most part, as James would say, that's it. So thank you. Good night, America.
Thank you, Mr. Yandick.
I also want to say a disclaimer. We are very thankful for the participation of Dave Scherer and those folks at PW Insider for their fantastic promotion of our site.
Well, they know who I am. Hi, Dave.
The news and views said by Chris Yandick are not reflective of the interactive interview.
Yeah, I say that like everybody says that when I'm on every other radio program that they're on. Obviously so.
Okay, well, once again, thank you everybody for listening through that entire spiel. But let's go.
If you actually listen to the end, you'll know this. This is a special code. If you can actually type the number 2 in your email, and we'll know you listened to the end when you said that email for the Tatum Brown book for free.
And then tell me what I had a dream about.
And then sing the song, and then no. And if you send me the entire lyrics to the Three's Company TV theme song, I will give you